Prediction. This mantra is something else. I think it's probably, after trying it out for a while, it's probably my favorite mantra in the game. Prediction is a mantra that has a lot of problems. It also has a lot of strengths too. And so I'm going to be talking about those and a situation where prediction could eventually become a meta mantra that a lot of people will start to use. Before we get into the video though, I'm going to ask you guys to consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already, because only around 20% of people who watch the videos are subscribed. Okay, so what is prediction and why is it so special? I mean, if you think about it, like, literally no one that you see runs this spell. Prediction is an intelligence combat mantra. It's the only one. It has a requirement of 50 intelligence. Here is what the mantra looks like when it's activated. It's a very simple spell. It summons a white circle around you, and you can't attack or move while you're using it. Essentially what prediction does is, while you're in that white circle, any attack that hits you will be reflected to the enemy and they'll take the full damage of it. Prediction also stuns your enemy after a successful counter, so you'll be able to get the initiative if you land this counter. Here is what prediction looks like if you successfully land it. As you just saw, I predicted the Ministry NPC's Dagger M1, and I did not take any damage, and he took damage and was stunned. It's nothing flashy, but it's essentially a parry which does damage to your enemy. It does cost ether to use, and if you miss a prediction, basically you'll be stunned in an end lag, and your opponent will be able to hit you. Now, there are a lot of downsides to prediction, and I mean a lot of downsides. Let me start by listing some of them. First, prediction has probably what is one of the longest spell cooldowns in the game. I think it's the second longest spell cooldown apart from like Lightning Cloak. So you basically cannot rely on this spell over and over again because it keeps on going on cooldown and you won't have it up too many times during a fight. Prediction only reflects 1 damage worth of attack. So let's say someone hits you with a Dagger M1, you're only predicting like 30 damage. And for that effort, you're only reflecting like 30 damage to them. That's not a lot considering most mantras will do like 50 to 100. Prediction also does nothing when you level it up. This is pretty weird and yeah, it just doesn't affect any spell properties. If you miss prediction, then it's even more punishing than missing a parry because there's no way to defend yourself. Prediction requires 50 intelligence, which is incredibly high for a spell. I mean, most other attunementless spells only require like 20 or less. Now, the deal breaker is prediction talents, the ones which make it good, the rare talents it has. They require 70 to 80 intelligence from what I can tell, which is absolutely ridiculous. The first rare talent, All-Knowing, basically just gets rid of the range limit from prediction. So if someone hits you with a Bolt Piercer or Grand Javelin from a mile away and you predict it, it will hit them. The second talent, Successive Prediction, is a lot more cool in my opinion. Basically it makes it so that if someone hits you right after your first prediction connected, you'll predict the next hit and it'll keep on going over and over again. And the advantage to this is that you can predict multi-hit attacks like say Lightning Blade or the Dagger Critical. Instead of predicting only 1 hit worth of damage, you're going to be predicting the entire mantra and you'll be dealing a lot of their HP. 70 to 80 intelligence is a pretty huge investment though, so I don't really know if it's worth it putting the extra 20-30 points in to get these talents. Now, one really cool thing about Successive Prediction is that you can actually M1 or attack while you're predicting the multi-hit attacks. This will increase the damage that you do to your enemy significantly. This is what it looks like on an NPC. It will keep on going on until the multi-hit attack is over, and you'll be able to get free M1s and free attacks off during that whole animation. One other downside that I can tell about prediction, which I've tested out, is that none of the spell modifiers actually work on it. So you're not going to be able to do any like comically long predictions or comically large predictions. It's just the base spell. So prediction has a ton of downsides. The question is, why would you want to use it? And in what situation would it be considered a meta spell? Now, prediction, if used properly, can be used to guarantee 1 M1's worth of damage. Now, this sounds pretty bad considering that it's on like a 40-second cooldown, but a lot of other mantras that you use, such as Gale Lunge and Ice Daggers, are also used to confirm 1 M1's worth of damage. but the difference is prediction cannot be countered. Here is how you want to be using prediction and the most optimal scenarios for it. The first type of attacks that you want to predict are running attacks. Running attacks cannot be cancelled, so if you see your opponent running and starting an M1, know to predict it because it's guaranteed to hit them so long as they don't miss their M1. The second type of hits that you can predict are critical attacks. This is pretty self-explanatory. Critical attacks cannot be feinted, so if your opponent does it, then it's a free prediction and they'll have to eat the entire critical. The third type of hit that you're guaranteed to predict is an M1 after your opponent has already feinted. Since your opponent has wasted their feint cooldown, you can predict the next attack and there's nothing they can do to not be hit by it. In this sense, it can be considered as an alternative option to perfect dodging. You use it after your parry's worn out, and it's actually much more rewarding in this case because it damages your opponent. A good player can defend forever. A good player with prediction can defend while killing you. This mantra sounds very innocent and like pretty bad from an outsider's perspective, but once you understand the high level gameplay, you actually understand the use case of this mantra and why it can be so good at the high levels of play. Over the course of a fight, you can expect to predict like 2 M1s and 2 criticals. That would do like at least a bar of your opponent's HP. Everything in this game can be countered except for stuff like prediction, destructive recovery, and mirage clones. This is why these concepts are so strong. It's because of the fact that it alters the way the game is played, and essentially you can get an advantage on your opponent that's like not meant to be a thing. Prediction, if you have good reaction times and you know when to use it, can be used to get so much free damage onto your opponent and be a general nuisance and have extra defense options, which is basically the perfect playstyle of someone like me who like loves the M1 combats. This spell used to be absolutely awful because it had end lag even if you countered your opponent, but this was eventually removed, which was a great thing. I think if it got some changes to its cooldown, or if it perhaps halved its cooldown whenever you successfully predict your opponent, prediction could be an actual meta spell and give people a reason to opt into a high intelligence build. I kinda wanna experiment with a Fist, Thunder, Ice intelligence build, and the idea is I'm gonna be getting prediction, Thunder Cloak, and Ice Beam. I'm gonna become Goku. It'll be pretty cool, right? You'd have the Kamehameha, Ultra Instinct, the Super Saiyan Aura, and the Fist combats. If you guys want to see that build, then let me know in the comments down below. Apart from that, that's my take on prediction. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.